Remove the wheel using a 22mm socket. Remove the tie rod stud nut. Then remove the tie rod from the steering knuckle using a hammer as shown. Do not hit directly on the tie rod stud. Then install a punch through the brake caliper to keep the wheel from turning and remove the spindle nut as shown. The axle should be loose. If it is not, give it a gentle tap with a hammer. Using a 10mm socket, remove the bracket holding the brake hose to the upper control arm. Remove the 2 bolts holding the brake caliper to the steering knuckle. Using a small pry bar, lift the caliper off the rotor and support it with a bungee strap or a hook. Using a fork, as shown, remove the ABS wiring. Take your time in undoing the plug as you do not want to break this. Using a Torx screwdriver, remove the single screw holding the brake rotor to the hub. Remove the brake rotor. There are 3 bolts holding the hub to the knuckle. You can remove them as shown with a 15mm socket. It is recommended that you use an air impact to avoid stripping the heads. A gentle tap with the hammer should release the hub from the axle. Remove the dust shield. Using a wire brush, prepare the mounting surfaces for the new hub. Clean the dust shield. Prepare the new hub. Feed the wiring harness through the dust shield as shown. Before installing it, use anti-seize compound to repair the mounting surfaces. Carefully install the new hub, taking care to orient the dust shield as you removed it. Install the spindle nut loosely to keep the hub from falling off. By hand, start all 3 mounting bolts for the hub to knuckle. Then make all 3 bolts snug, but not tight. Gradually tighten each bolt and use a torque wrench. Tighten the bolts sequentially to 133 foot-pounds each. Make sure the bearing rotates smoothly. Prepare the brake rotor using a wire brush on the mounting surfaces. Apply a small bit of anti-seize to the screw holding the brake rotor and tighten it. Put 1 drop of Loctite on the caliper mounting bolts. Install the brake caliper over the rotor and start both bolts by hand. Then tighten them as hard as you can with your air impact. Reinstall the bracket holding the brake hose. Use a little bit of dielectric grease in the connector of the new ABS harness and connect it. Make sure everything rotates smoothly without the harness binding. Install the punch in the brake rotor to keep the wheel from turning as you tighten the spindle nut. Rotate the rotor half a turn and tighten it some more. Finally, torque it with a torque wrench. Reinstall the tie rod and tighten with a torque wrench. Make sure everything rotates smoothly. Apply anti-seize compound to the wheel studs. Reinstall the wheel to the vehicle, tightening the lug nuts sequentially. You will do a final torque by hand to 140 foot-pounds.